If you thought that the AIFF finalizing their new constitution and adopting it would bring to an end the chaos that surrounds Indian football, well, then you must be very new to the Indian football fandom, because let's face it, we know that there are always ebbs and flows when it comes to the Indian football circus. And unfortunately, it seems like we've been hit with a brand new one, this time pertaining to the Indian Super League, or the ISL for short. Now, the start of the ISL has been delayed because it technically normally gets underway from October onwards, but that was expected given the complications surrounding the constitution and the draft tender, as it were, or the master rights agreement actually being a bit in flux. Well, there's no new tender yet though, and that perhaps is the major issue, because the new tender for the start of the league was supposed to be finalized by a certain date, but that date has now come and gone. Let's quickly go over the details of it before we discuss how it is that this is going down. And trust me when I say it's going over like a lead balloon at this point in time. Now, there was a meeting that was held to come up with the Supreme Court mandated date for the ISL tender. The date which the Supreme Court had mandated was October 15. They had said that by October 15 the new tender needs to be out, because by then, if the tender is out by then, you'll have some clarity and clubs can start preparing for the new season, which would get underway in the first week of December. Unfortunately, the new tender has not been released. In fact, nothing doing whatsoever as far as any tender is concerned. There's been no communication. October 15th has pretty much just come and gone, and you don't really know when it is that the tender is going to be coming. Now, why exactly has there been a delay? Because again, you can sometimes give a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, right, and say, okay, perhaps there's a good reason. Well, it turns out the reasoning for it is a little bit on the sillier side. Why exactly do I say that? Well, check this out. The AIFF are in disagreement over certain key points, and the key points surrounds what companies are eligible to place bids, and no consensus has been reached. But why exactly is there no consensus? Well, get this. The main point of dispute was what kind of companies should be allowed. So there was a KPMG, which is of course a large accountancy firm, had been employed or tasked with finding out or doing the due diligence around this, and the number that they said that the tender bid should only be placed by companies that have a turnover of at least 100 or so crores. But there were certain AIFF key members who said that no, the turnover should be way higher. You need to be having potentially 500 or so crores of turnover, because you'd want for the long-term flexibility that companies are able to generate a lot of money very quickly. Some were saying that, okay, maybe there should be a middle point, should try to keep it at around 300 crores. In the end, no consensus was reached, and this perhaps was the more frustrating part. And if you think it's bad as a fan, trust me, it is worse for the clubs who are trying to plan for a league that they don't even know is going to be happening, which is why it should come as no surprise that the ISL clubs, 10 of them, actually came together and wrote a rather irritated letter to the AIFF warning that they should not be taken for granted. Now, it's a long letter, and a lot of it comes down to the fact that they were annoyed at the process not being finalized and the fact that there's been no communication. But the one part which I found was really key was this one. They said that clubs have continued to demonstrate their willingness to cooperate and support Indian football's larger ecosystem, but this goodwill cannot continue to be taken for granted. This part in itself makes it very clear that clubs are becoming a little bit fed up with how it is that things are going. Remember, the season normally starts like this. You'll have the ISL, and thereafter you have the Super Cup, which also counts as the season. This time around, though, due to uncertainty with the ISL, they have in fact decided to hold the Super Cup before. This was something that the clubs were okay with. They said, look, we get it. It's not an easy thing to solve. We'll play the Super Cup first. But they are miffed at the fact that there was no communication thereafter. And truth be told, it's easy to understand why. A lot of them need to be actually, let's say, planning for such things. They need to be figuring out the financials. And it's impossible to do that when you don't even know a start date to the league, or worse, you don't even know if the league is going to be happening yet. As of right now, as of the recording of this particular video, there is no start date for the ISL. In fact, to make things worse, there is potentially no ISL as things stand. And that is bad enough as it is, but it's worse when you remember that the Indian football team's failure to qualify for the 2027 AFC Asian Cup basically means that the team are now very much in a holding pattern for at least the next couple of years. So all of the national team games now would be by and large just friendlies and whatnot. But To then make things worse, most Indian football players will not potentially have a proper league to even play in, whilst they don't really have a lot of national team action as well. And that really is a very sad situation for a lot of these people to find themselves in. And one hopes that a solution is reached soon. But as things stand, you are once again looking at a future where there is no ISL. Now, what are your thoughts on the matter? Who do you blame the most for the shoddy mismanagement that has made the situation reach right here? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon as well, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, X and Facebook, and stay tuned for more such updates from the world of sport.